working on a lot of content.
And hello. How are you all tonight? Wow. Gonna be hard to make an empty room laugh, isn't it? No worries, because I brought myself a topic to talk about. I don't know why. I just did. It's on a notepad. Please pardon me while I go back to the first page. I took some notes. I had an idea because I was watching somebody else's video. Actually, I was watching a bunch of them. But it gave me an idea because it's something I keep going back to. Hi, Nike Air. Why can't you hear me? I'm very quiet. Let's make me louder. Let's adjust that. Make sure that's right. Let's reset that. And let's reset that. Ooh, that got loud in my ear. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have reset that one. I should have left it. Oops. All right. I hope you can hear me now. Test, test, test. Should I get louder? I can't get louder. I can move forward. All right. So, I watch a lot of videos. I try to catch in a lot of streams of the people that I subscribe to. That includes like Sinatra and Irate Bear. A lot of cognitive thought. So my phone's probably going to go off if he goes live here in a minute. Pops out of nowhere, my bro is coming. Hey Ryan, how you doing? Let's talk about comic books. Maybe we can. That would be a good topic to get into, but I would need such a serious amount of help. There's no way that's happening tonight. Guaranteed. I know a little bit about comic books. I know very, very little about canon. I know a bit about the Marvel movies. I've watched everything once, I think, at least, except for the new stuff. But this is a weird topic today. I've got a few of them on here, and one of them is extensive, and then a couple of them are a lot shorter. And then also on my mind, I want to... I want so badly to discuss what's going to be on the show Saturday on Numbed Wasteland, but I don't really want to give it away. Except I've been doing a lot of research. I've watched hours and hours of video. I've read through a couple of dozen court cases. I've read parts of the Constitution. I've read articles on amendments to the Constitution. I've read precedents. I've read opinion pieces from the judges on their verdicts. I've read purchase agreements for the United States. I've read something called an organic government agreement or something like that. Really weird stuff. You have 500,000 comics? Damn. Okay. All yours. Can I call you on Hangouts for comics? But I have a list. But I have tomorrow night, and I don't have a topic for tomorrow. So how about we set you up for tomorrow on comics? Would that sound like fun? I think that sounds like awesome fun to me. But there's a bunch of... I almost want to say pet peeves. The internet covers a lot of things. And it's a matter of finding out where on the internet some of these things are. And... folks, when do I talk about feminism? Don't worry, we're gonna kind of breeze through it because I got a lot, and it's not devoted centrally to feminism. But I heard a comment, and I hear it a lot, and it's the comment stating that women need to get back in the kitchen, they need to be barefoot and pregnant and this and that and the other thing, and it's like, I don't really think most men have ever really asked for women to get in the kitchen and make them dinner. I remember as I grew up, there were phrases that we used to hear. Now I'm not old. I guess I'm close to boomer. What's boomer age? I don't even know. But maybe I'm close. But I'm not old. So I remember my grandparents, because I stayed with them for a while, used to say things, and you'd hear slogans and phrases told to you as a kid. And lately I hear this, women need to get back in the kitchen, and it's like, but wait, what was that? Email. But that's not what I heard as a kid, that the woman needs to get in the kitchen. My grandmother always told me that I needed to get out of the kitchen. That wasn't that she needed to get in. Hey, Atima, how you doing? The thing that I always heard, and this was from my grandmother telling my sisters, telling my mom, telling my aunt, I'd always overhear it, and you'd hear her say it when I got done eating a meal or when my grandpa got done eating. It was, the quickest way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And I'm sure almost everybody in here has heard that. Hey, John Doe, welcome. Why did I not miss? Okay, welcome. I'm watching the wrong chat. I need to watch the other chat. It's faster. I always heard my grandmother saying the quickest way to a man's heart's through his stomach. The best way to make a man happy is through his stomach, or something like that, almost all the time. And my grandma prided herself on giving my grandfather this plate of food that, nope, you don't want seconds. That's going to fill you up. That's a man's plate of food. And I don't say that to be sexist. This is an open conversation, so please put in your comments. But my grandmother, and even my mom for a while when I was younger, used to make that slogan. It was almost even a joke at a point in my house, that the quickest way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And if you take that slogan to heart, well, then you need to give a man something that's going to fill him up and he's not going to be hungry. And does that imply that the woman should get in the kitchen? Maybe. I'm not going to say it doesn't. But it was more of a, the woman prided herself on making him happy by keeping him fed. Because sometimes keeping a man fed is a hard thing to do. The harder you work, the hungrier you are, the more you go through. We need Brockus on this. Brockus, you're being called across the internet. Come, join me on my stream. I don't know how to call Brockus. I don't have Twitter open right now. If someone would like to invite him, I'd be more than happy. Let me see if this crashes my stream. And I'm going to need to do one of the... No, I'll wait on that. Is he still under Brockus, or did he change his name? No, somebody sent him a message. I need to carry on. And these two things kind of conflict in my head. My grandfather had never told my grandmother to get back in the kitchen. Never. She did everything he wanted in the home so that when he came home, he wouldn't have to worry. She took care of everything in the house. He took care of making sure that everything in the house could afford to be taken care of. And that was, it's an arrangement. Would it be ideal? Would going to work for 12 and 14 hours a day to bring home large paychecks to provide for, anything, it seemed. If my grandmother said she wanted something, my grandfather would be making sure he set money aside somewhere. How he did it, I don't know. It was always amazing that the relationship my grandparents had was grandma feeds and cleans, grandpa does things. And I don't mean that in a grandma doesn't do things, because my grandma used to make me work as a kid. You'd have to clean every wall, every ceiling, every floor, lamps, tops and bottoms, and rails, and in closets and cabinets. Everything had to be cleaned, period. No spots left behind. Don't miss a single spot with Murphy's oil soap, and it had to be done right. No arguments. But my grandpa was always at work, always providing, always bringing home a paycheck. No arguments. Bad knee, braces, all sorts of problems. Continued to work until they told him, you just can't work anymore. Here's your retirement. It was an arrangement that they had as a couple. And don't get me wrong, I 100% support that arrangement or any other that needs to be made. Saying that, I sit in a very precarious position. I used to be my grandpa, working 10, 12, 14 hours a day, coming home with some pretty decent paychecks, and then my wife would be at home and Most of the time I'd have dinner, depending on how swing my schedule was or what we decided that night. Or, sometimes I worked next to a Chinese restaurant. I'd just grab some wontons. It was a matter of we had the agreement to how things would work for the situation we were in. Now I'm the at-home dad. My wife is at work. In all honesty, there's very little she comes home to take care of. I ask her to help me put the kids' laundry and her laundry away. Other than that, I wash it and clean it and make a pile. Take care of mine. Sometimes I have the kids separate theirs. Little things I can do. But I cook dinners. I cook roasts and I barbecue and I make salads. And I try to be creative and diverse with the food that I cook so she doesn't get bored. It's an agreement we have. It doesn't quite fall the same way. I mean, I have to do different things to achieve the same happiness than what my grandparents would have had to because of the situation they lived in. Send a link to a link, not a wrench. What? Wait, what's going on? It's a whammon thing. I don't mean this in any negative or mean way, because the dynamic of a relationship is going to change depending on what the people want out of the relationship. If men are just as good at cooking as women, I have never thought of cooking as being a sexually based thing. You know what? Neither have I. And to be perfectly honest, I cook better than my wife by far. I know she doesn't watch my shows back, so it's okay. And I know she's not sitting in the other room watching my show because she wouldn't be like that. It just, that's not part of how we do things. I was joking. The next thing I wrote down that I want to express is something that I notice and that I see not only in the media that I consume, mostly from YouTube, but I see it in everyday life. Though that's not, what is that? That's hearsay. What is the word for that? There's a term for it. It is, I forget what it is and I don't care. But there's a difference between women who demand things and women who ask for things. Hey, TCA. And who else am I missing? I know you're here, Ryan. I see you, Atima. I know. Hey, Angry Amish Hitman snuck in and hugged everybody while I wasn't looking. Good job. But there's a difference between demanding something and asking for something. Whether you're in a relationship with somebody or you're in an arrangement or however it is, when you go up and say, well, I want pork today, but I was making hamburgers. Oh, okay. I guess I'll make pork. You wanted pork, but that doesn't feel right. You know, it would be nice to have some pork for dinner tonight. Well, I guess the burgers could sit till tomorrow. No biggie. Very different. And I catch myself doing it too. I'm not saying I don't do it. I'm not saying I haven't seen men do it. I'm just saying sometimes you see women who are to a point taken care of. And when things go well and it seems they can always have things, it stops becoming can we or can I, and I want this. And I teach my children that's not right either. It's hard to get through their heads. But sometimes you hear that. The I want. That's a demand. Not can I have. Although can I have several times in a row is also a demand, I suppose. But it just seems sometimes it's so demanding. And even the way that the question gets reworded to sound like a demand more commonly comes from women. They try to think through what they're requesting, what they want, and that's what they say, and then you kind of give it to them sometimes, unless you feel like you're being demanded on. I have been listening to a diverse amount of media, so it's really hard. And it comes into another thing that we're going to get to further down this list. This is 2 steno pages long, so it's not huge. It's really confusing to me how some people, some young people, are seeming to look at the way relationships are and expect that it's not so much a contribution of what you have to offer to the relationship and how can the person appease me. It's how can the person appease me? And that's it. That's all it is. How can I be made happy? Sometimes stopping to think about what the other person is in search of. And again, this isn't necessarily straight on feminism, but if you demand something out of the relationship, you're creating an unequal balance. Well, sometimes you both have a demand, and those demands are both valid and had in a proper discussion. They're not so much demands as they are the conversation about how to continue the contract between you, whether it be a legal marriage contract or just a verbal agreement for the consistency of you two being together, or 3 or 5. However, whatever your situation may be. Did I see a hi Red Feather, you're surrounded by the bot. Steno Pages, hipster. Hey, I don't throw things away. This notebook was barely used, so I'm making sure it gets its uses. It was my mom's. One of my moms, she had several. I had to throw a few away. They were fully used. Moving on the list, because not that that's unimportant, but I have a lot of these things, guys. They're just things that I notice and see, and they're brought up in conversations continuously, mostly online. Not so much IRL, but mostly online. But when you're exposed to something. Hey, guys, you just bought a Chevy Cavalier. I know that's an old car. Bear with me. You just bought a Chevy Cavalier. But now that you're sitting in that Chevy Cavalier and you're admiring it and you're enjoying it because it's your car, wow, there goes a Chevy Cavalier. Oh, there's another one. That's red. Hey, there's another one. That's green. I didn't know they had that color. Wow, there's a lot of Cavaliers on the road, aren't there? No. You're driving a Cavalier. You're tuning into the Cavalier because you're exposed to it. It's you trying to identify things, and you're identifying things that are alike. Wait, where was my topic going? I just lost myself. Identification, Cavalier. I completely just lost my train of thought on that. Crap. Anybody know what I was just talking about? Okay, I'm just going to move on to the next one. My note says, how will making more people feminine help women? Oh, power of attraction. It just seems that you're identifying things when you have something and you're looking for something. You seem to identify it quicker because it's something that you have, or something that you've had that you want to reacquire. It's easy to identify. Your mind picks up on those the consistencies between multiple items. And no, I didn't take psychology in college. This is NumbedSkull's house. Wait, what is that? Huh? Power. I don't know. Dare I? Well, I see what this link does. It's scaring me. Well, I see what this link does. I am going to tell you guys, I have a surprise towards the end of the stream I've been working on today, if you don't already know. That is not my house. That's what my brain looks like. It's full of... Are those books sticking out of the corners? Really? Holy crap. Yeah, that's my brain. That's my brain on books. I thought there was a law of discerning, but either way, I think I get it. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know exactly how to say what I'm trying to say, but your brain has a way to identify things that you're exposed to for long periods of time. That's why some people say that you end up marrying someone like your mother or like your father, because you're exposed to them and you identify traits in them and you pick up on those traits in other people because they're familiar to you. It's a familiarity thing. I don't know how to explain it. I really do need to take some classes to understand what I know, if that makes any sense. But moving on, sorry, I'll state it again. How will making more people feminine help women? So here's a weird thought process I have. And the conversation repeats itself saying that we're trying to make more boys like girls. That we're trying to slightly emasculate women to be stronger. But we're trying to demasculate men more and create them almost to a feminine lifestyle so they can interact better with women on their level. That's how I discern the conversation, that women are trying to, some women in the fringe of the feminist movement are trying to take men and push them down to a point that makes them feel happy and relatable, like they can sit and have their afternoon tea with them. And that's not really what most men are after. Yeah, there are some. There's plenty. You know, everybody has something they're after. But it comes down to that primarily men aren't going to sit there and have tea. They don't want somebody to sit there and jibber jabber with unless they can grunt as just like a stereotypic metaphor.
Give me that cigarette. Give me that beer. Hey, let me see your axe, buddy. Give me that chainsaw.
I want to complete something. I want to feel like I accomplished something. I want to go out there and I want to sweat and I want to tear muscle and I want to feel like I came out better at the end, regardless of what it was I was doing. That's just the drive in me. I can't explain what the drive in a woman is. I don't think it's that rip things apart, cut things down, rip a tree out of the ground with your bare hand, grunt and throw it as far in the air as you can. I don't think women have that drive, that hardcore masculine motivation, to put it that way. And I know that sounds weird, but it just, sometimes they don't. So why are we trying to make men not be that way in the pursuit of making them engageable to women on a conversational or sit-down level? That's not necessarily what we're after. Let me check the chat because I've ignored a bit of it. Damn Skullbot is even more... Damn Skullbot is even more of an ass than Nightbot. Ha. Babies. Oh, I didn't even put babies on the list. Boris. Hello, peeps.
Yes, I understand that reference. Hello, peeps.
Hello, TA. Let's see, what do we got? Reminds me of those Australian anti-men commercials. I've watched them all. I've watched commentary on them. I've watched them all. I'm not happy with them. I do understand some of the conversation. But the weird thing is, not only did I pick apart why they're so bad, but at the same time, I've seen them so many consecutive times. I've actually played through the scenario in my head a few ways they could have improved upon them. Even directing them the way they were, which I don't agree with. Even doing the message that they were trying to do, which I'm not 100% on board with. I can, in my head, look at them and go, well, this is what you needed to do. This is more what you need to highlight. And you need to highlight the goodness in stepping in and doing something right to start with, over the idea that what you're doing is bad and you're a terrible person. Because people are going to strive to feel like they accomplished something. I assume women have some sort of drive like that, but that's what people are going to do. Especially men. If they're like me, I'm a man. Ugh. No, sorry, I had to.
My blood is red.
I'm sorry. But you feel like you have to accomplish something. And in accomplishing that, you feel like you've achieved something. And I don't know if women get quite the same accomplishment out of things. But I did see ways to improve those commercials. Let's see. Okay, play. No. Somebody's robbing the bank. Data, welcome. How you doing? I tried to make this a cheery chat. You missed my intro. Go back and watch it later. Everybody's saying hello. Just got here. What did I miss? You missed. I can tell you exactly what you missed from the notes. You missed women get in the kitchen versus the quickest way to get to a man's heart is through his stomach. You missed women who demand things versus women who ask for things. And you missed how will making more people, feminine, help women. Today's topic is lightly considered feminism, but I'm going to divert off topic a lot.
My blood is red. I'm a man.
Sorry. Individuals among genders is fine, but to assume one gender needs to be a certain way is retarded and absolutist. Yes, it is. And again, I don't believe that even other men necessarily feel the same accomplishment out of something that I do. I'm derivating that assumption based on the accomplishment I feel when I complete something. When I pull a tree out of the ground and rip that thing up by its roots and throw it, I feel powerful. That makes me feel good. It gives me a sense of entitlement that I can complete this, where other people might not be able to. That's, in a bad way to describe it, that's my privilege, is the ability to do things and then feel accomplishment for doing those things I did. What do we got in here? Let's see. Hey Doc, welcome to the chat. Aren't you gonna make me laugh again? I didn't want to lose another SMD resistor in the carpet. Well, I appreciate everybody here. Let me carry on though, because I'm already a half an hour in. I'm not even through my first page yet. The next little subtopic, and again, these are from, I've been watching videos for days. I've been digging and divulging into a topic for data here this weekend, and I've got so much my mind hurts. So I had to divert, and I watched a few videos, and a whole bunch of things come to me, and I wanted to discuss them in a stream, because I was going to do one, and I was looking for a topic, and this was better than what I originally had in mind. And tomorrow we'll talk about comics. If men feel they cannot be attracted to women, talk, interact, or work with women, this moves men into the kitchen, with a question mark, separate worlds, another question mark, or how does that work? I'm constantly seeing the Me Too versus the MGTOW versus the incel versus the LGBT versus the anti this, that, and everything I've previously listed and more. One thing I have to wonder is, if you start to get to the point where men and women are alike, and or even different, but men are criticized for the ways that they go about naturally seeking a mate. Something that is inherent. It's something that we want to do, whether it be someone of the same or opposite sex or someone who identifies as a unicorn. It doesn't really matter. If we push men to a point where they're not only not allowed to do these things, but feel uncomfortable to do things that might be misconstrued as them, then they're going to move away from women and they're going to start becoming a dociler sex towards things. How will this work? Will men then be in the kitchen, or will they live in separate worlds and communities away from the women because they'll fear the legal or ramifications of what will happen if they misspeak or say the wrong thing? They'll constantly be worried about improper communication and interaction with women who will just go, "Oh, you touched me. Officer, he touched me. I did not tell him he could. Sir, you're under arrest." And yes, I believe if it continues, it could get that bad. But I think it should get that bad on both sides. I don't think it should be one-sided. I don't think it should get that bad, but if it does, it should be equal. The lady goes to jail, too, for screaming. Something. I don't know. Pardon me. This is something that I know other people worry about and think about in different ways. But this is a fear that makes men worry on, well, if that's not the appropriate way, I won't do that. Okay, that's also not the appropriate way, I won't do that. How am I supposed to? Okay, I will wait for her to pick me. I will let the woman take the lead and she can pick me. Why isn't the woman picking me? Why didn't she pick me? Well, I've got nice hair. I've got nice teeth. I'm nicely shaven. I smell good. I smell just fine. I look nice. I got new clothes. I got new sneakers. What's the problem? Why can't I get a girl? I can't figure this out. Why aren't they coming to me? That's what we're going to start creating, where men not necessarily don't want a girl, but they believe that it's now the woman's responsibility to come on to the man to make that initial investment before the man knows what she's after. And then he has to appeal to her entirely because he's afraid if he steps out of line or she misconstrues something he says or does that he could be punished for it. And I don't think that is right either. I want to quickly move away from that because there is more to talk about, but I want to look at the chat. Well, I'm screwed. I touch people all the time, so I don't get run over or stepped on. Okay. I like I said, I don't think that's the right way for things to go at all, and I don't want civilization to go this way. So I'm bringing some of these topics up just to talk about different, possibly slightly different ways to look at it. Maybe somebody will see this and adapt it and go, you know what, maybe he was wrong about everything, but you know, this one word he said just made me think about this topic. Maybe we can talk about it like this instead. And I'm not saying everybody will agree with any idea or situation. Actually, that's a damn impossible. It will not happen. It's not going to happen. The idea is to get a proportional amount to agree that this is an objective way to look at it. That's it. Moving on slightly to the next topic. I want to have a little fun with this. Obviously, I like to have fun, guys.
My blood is red. I'm a man.
I mean, makeup is attractive. I'm not going to say blanket-wise makeup is an attractive thing. I'm just saying makeup can be attractive, I guess. It would be a better way to put this. Not all women necessarily need to wear makeup, though some women need to wear a lot less. We do see makeup, but we don't want to. Men, and maybe other women, I don't know, again, I don't speak for women. Men want to know that the time was put in to make sure that you're not slovenly. And I think that's all women want to know sometimes too is, you know, haircut, take a shower, apply deodorant, make sure you're clean. I'm not jumping in bed with someone who's going to take off their shirt and they're going to have this, you know, dry patch of dirt and maybe whatever else. Unless you're into that kind of man, because I've come home greasy and shit that you can't wash off. So there's that. Makeup is attractive though if it's done right. If it's too much, it looks like you just put your period blood all over a canvas. If it's too little, it's like, did you wash your face today? Maybe you didn't. I don't know. Overpopulation, even a thing. The root came from the book called The Population Boom. From a book called The Population Boom. According to the maps, we are nowhere near any sort of overpopulation data wasteland. We can discuss that. Another topic. Reodorant. I don't wear makeup and never really have, but I'm not sure if I'm very normal. My wife doesn't wear makeup a lot. I'm not going to say it's bad. It's also the fact that she doesn't wear makeup a lot that sometimes when we go out, it's overdone in some areas, and that's what I pick up on. As much as I actually get a thrill out of not so much her wearing makeup, a little bit. I do, as a man, I do get a little bit of a thrill out of the makeup, but I get more of a thrill out of the intent. The effort put in, knowing the better the evening, the better the end of the evening. And I always thought, again, this is a discussion on Pheasantdom. I always thought, you know, you were out on a date to, you know, have fun at the end of the evening. But people have different reasons. I'm married. My reasons are always to have fun at the end of the evening. We'll see. I look great in makeup, LOL. Dare I ask? Dare I ask? Have I missed anything? Nightbot. never mind. I'm not reading that comment. I read the comment first and then saw Nightbot and went, nope. Nope. That's one of the good comments that's gonna stand out in my mind for a while. Who doesn't like reading anal rape in the chat? I mean, come on. Incels are unwanted. Okay, I've sort of breezed across this. Something that I see misconstrued online, and please tell me if I'm being a numbskull here. Do you see people considering incels along the same lines as people who are voluntarily celibate? It almost seems like the certain groups of people don't think about incels as involuntarily celibate. They think about the celibacy things in there. So these incels just don't want to be around women. It's no. It's bang, bang, bang. It's more along the lines of, back to what I started to say before, is you get this group of men that see the situations around them and go, oh, ooh, that's bad. Oh, ooh, that's bad. Oh, ooh, that's bad too. What am I supposed to do if all the situations that I have to see and look at seem to be bad? They're criticized horribly. I don't want to do that and be highlighted in social media and on the news as somebody who did one of these horrible things. I'm just going to sit and wait. And I'm going to wait. And I'm going to wait. Why aren't they coming? Why don't women like how I spend a lot of time and money and how I look? Why aren't they asking me out? Ooh, I spent 30 hours at the gym. I look good. Why aren't they interested in me? I'm getting angry. Why aren't they interested in me? I'm a man. Bam. And they snap. And that's a bad thing. It is a bad thing. But the logic I'm seeing is the incels are involuntary. You know, maybe you are some, fat bastard with a turtle head poking out. And you need to realize that even fat bastard went on a diet. Sorry, guys. I'm a little sharp sometimes. What can I say? Incels are not necessarily unwanted so much as they're guys that are not desired because they're giving the traits out that they believe women are looking for, but it's not what the women are looking for. And they're not carrying on with life. And they get angry and frustrated because they spend time and effort on attracting a woman, but they're not going after them because society's seemingly telling them, but you're supposed to come after me. I'm not supposed to come after you. That's how it was. Men were supposed to chase women. Now women are supposed to select the man. Half the man I used to be. Moving on. Incels. So that's incels. That's how I see it. Maybe not necessarily people who are always ugly, but people who are reading the dynamic that's being pushed and they're responding to it in a reasonable way and getting angry because for good reason they're following the instructions and the things that are being said. They're doing what they believe they should be doing. They're reading books and all of this and that, and they're getting angry because women aren't looking at them because they're not acting like men. They're acting more like women, and a woman doesn't want to date a man or date a woman. They want to hang out with a woman. A woman wants to date a man. And yes, I'm being stereotypical. Judge me later. I need to move on, I guess. And I need to move this because Dewey is sending me shit on Discord, which is not up on my screen, so my phone is vibrating at me. Goals in life include children. How? If everyone is female, you're not talking to a woman. Is that an insult to ask for a pussy? This one confuses the hell out of me, and I didn't know how to write the question, guys. If your intent in a relationship with somebody is, I want kids, I want to be able to feel the pleasure of
raising somebody better than myself. And that's kind of how I attribute parenting. You got to raise your kids to be smarter or better, or somehow better than yourself, to not make the same mistakes, to make better decisions, however you want to look at that. If you're consistently trying to acquiesce to what women think they want in their side of the social mating, then you're not allowing them to acquiesce to what you want. So then everybody starts to push over to that girl's side. And so we get, what is it, andromorphic society, I think it's called, andro something, where everybody begins to be and look alike, and we start non-having distinguishing features because we raise, sorry, I'm bringing it back up, told you I would, we raise babies. And then babies come into just teens, something like that. And as they grow up, the adults, and this Latinx just drops off, and the conjugation all drops off, and worrying about man and woman drops off, and it becomes about individual preferences and this and that, and that's all well and great. But then again, we'll have those societal standards where masculinity and other features surrounding what used to be manhood are dissolved down to a point where they're not allowed, and those who do feature them are going to have to be corrected for these actions. How then does a couple, and this is looking at some sort of weird future, how does a couple find mates to procreate? Or do they stop procreating with mates and we start doing all that in factories so that women don't have to lose time at work, and then we can all have equal pay? I don't understand how we're going to fix this. Hey, there we go. I just solved it. Equal pay. We grow babies in factories. You're not parents anymore. You're donors. Let's see. What am I missing in the chat? I see rolling pickles. Not sure what that means. Sure. The east side of the Deerlux apartment in the sky. Yes, I'm reading the wrong way in the chat. Send a link to the vid to a narcissist numbed on feminism. Okay, I will check that out. Androgenic. Okay, I think the word you are looking for. Okay. Same crowds. We don't own the same crowds. I read that already when I was reading the wrong direction. Stop reading the wrong direction. Catch up with myself. Where am I? Hey, look. Page 2. We're getting somewhere now. I've completed a page.
I'm a man. I got red blood. They're turning the frogs gay.
I couldn't hold the last one. All right. So moving on. And again, I'm trying to be a little lighthearted about this. The next topic in this list of feminism and conversation talking points that I seem to have put together accidentally. As BDSM grows, is it because, one, nobody knows their place, or two, people want controlled or control over? And this is hard for me. These are almost equally inherent thoughts that I have about why it seems BDSM activities have almost thinned out, been broken down into derivations of the BDSM category and spread across the population, where more people enjoy different aspects of what used to be the combined BDSM category. What this is doing is, again, it's homogenizing the group of people so that everybody thinks they're alike and they're all going to try these different things out. And nobody knows exactly what their place is or what they're supposed to be doing or messing with. So everybody's out there trying everything. There's a lot of conversations about how not only has the openness and availability of having sex and free promiscuous sex has grown, but the thought processes of people trying to keep up with and adapt to the growing ideas and thoughts that are actually being created about how to try and different things to do and where and what to pierce and where the hose goes in and how big the vacuum's supposed to be and what the pressure is supposed to be. It's not just about hanging from ropes and straps with a ball gag. It's about how high up the ship can you go and Will the bones break? Not if you use this specific knot. You won't snap their shoulder blade out. It's really intricate. I've gotten kind of deep into it. In some places deeper than I want. A lot deeper than I want. But still, I'm exploratory. Hey. Yeah. I'm exploratory. That's the wrong word for this part of the topic. Also, people want controlled or control over. And without going too much into detail, BDSM offers, it's quite simply broken down. You've got a master-slave dynamic, however you want to portray that, multiple slaves, multiple masters, however your lifestyle permits that. It breaks down into a dominant and a submissive category, and people fall into these categories of both sexes, it doesn't matter, and they feel like they have to comply with some sort of regimen or strictiveness. So you have rules, you have guidance in school. In adulthood, when you're doing everything you're supposed to, you have a job, you have a house, let's say you are or are not married. What other restrictions do you have? Who is setting the rules on what you are and aren't allowed to do? You're pretty free and open and willing to experiment with things, and as things become more available to learn about, they become more available to experiment with. And then people consider new ideas, they get added to the list. I forget to turn my cell phone ringer off. Other things continue to happen that cause people to continue to build up on their sexual repertoire, causing lesser things to not mean as much to them. And there's conversations that are being had around that. So I don't want to necessarily build toward that part of the conversation, just stating that sometimes BDSM might be an answer for some people to offer them some sort of structure to the type of living that they're doing if they're living based on their sexual gratifications and they lead into that department. Save me, says TA. Bone me baby. I'm going to have to add that later. Space or sex toys? If you go to space, isn't there plenty of room for sex toys? Just thinking, power or batteries? Please, batteries. I don't think I have anything that plugs directly into the wall. I don't think. Don't think I'm innocent, guys. I'm not. No, that's all I'm saying. BDSM is not about how hard you hit or be hit. No, it's not. It's literally, if you break it down and you are in a BDSM lifestyle, it is about asserting the right amount of control and the right amount of, what was the word used? It's almost like an appreciation. Where in sex, sometimes you got to get a couple extra thrusts to kind of drain. Well, in a BDSM relationship, you're kind of taking somebody to the verge of what their body can handle in a different aspect of what their body can handle. And as they come back down from that, almost even like coming back down from a drug or recuperating your breath and your heartbeat after having an orgasm, there's almost a consolation period post engagement, and that has to be well taken into account along with the dynamic of the pain and the amount of pain, and however you and your partner or those involved need to discuss that. You need to discuss that. I need to stop because I know too much. Space sex toys fuck the world. Master slave trainer animal, something like that, depending on the dynamic. Again, Timothy Hunter goes cock. TA goes yay. Nightbot kicking in some shit. Couldn't believe it. That was cool. You guys don't understand. I am literally speaking. I made some notes about thoughts that I wanted to talk about, and the entire conversation that I'm having with you guys off this little, I could send you a picture later. It's not a lot of notes. I'm reading right from the pad, and I'm telling you when. The rest of this is just the way I'm seeing and thinking about things, and I'm getting it out so fast that when I'm done, I won't even remember how most of this went, except for little details about what I wanted to say, and hoping I put them across properly. There is just before my stream, I was watching a Philip DeFranco recent release today about the intersectionality. Now, I have my own thoughts and processes, but I'm more than willing to listen to another viewpoint aspect, some information, or however you want to put it, another source for me to acquire or derive a way to look at this. So I was watching it. And as I was watching it, I tried to make a couple of notes. I got notes, guys, and my notes are right in front of me on my papel. Intersectionality apparently started in 1989. Yes, we're in feminism. Now we're talking about intersectionality. Oh shit, I'm going to lose my subscribers. No, there's a surprise at the end that I know nobody will want, but it'll be fun anyway to reveal. Could it be we, as a world culture, pardon my grammar, become more homogenized, that intersectionality is a modern way to offer context, replacing a hierarchy or other dynamic, parentheses, an individual dynamic placing people in groups. I think what I was trying to say here is, again, refer back to data for a moment. We have a show going on this weekend, and in that show I've kind of tapped into some information about laws and government, other such stuff that I've been looking at, and the way we've treated different sects of populations through time becomes very important. We've reached a time where we want to consider everybody's opinion and everything they do valid and equal, unless of course you fall at the bottom of the totem of hierarchy based on your why can't I remember the word? Based on your disadvantages as you perceive them, I suppose. So, an individual dynamic placing people in a group, it is meant to break down the individual aspects of who you are by taking you and placing you in boxes for who you represent. And that's kind of what people also want to get away from, but you're moving towards it in an effort to get away from it. You just don't see it because of the intent to move away. I don't see black people as any worse than white people. I don't see white people any worse than black people. I guess an inherent question that I really want people to stop and consider when they make information, it's, do you feel that you're more or less special than the person you're looking at? Do you feel more or less important than the person you're referring to? And then break down, why do you feel like more or less than that person? And if it comes down to you seeing this, take your own test and walk up to that person and ask them those same questions. Do you think that you're better than I am? Do you think that you're worse than I am? And the answer to both those questions is no. And when both parties or anybody having the conversation can agree that they don't believe that they're better than or worse than another party in the discussion, that they have differences from but can relate on a level of respect. And I know that's difficult, but this is just what I see. And I always see the question yourself. Do you think you're better than or worse than the person you're talking to, and why? I consistently question myself. If you're having a conversation with a cop, and I've been watching a lot of cop videos lately on all sorts of different angles, so now I've got all sorts of new just thoughts on that too. If you're having a discussion with a cop and you're not a cop, you feel like there's a power dynamic. You feel like they have more power than you. Are you more or less special than I am? Well, right now, maybe a little bit more, but not really. Am I more or less special than you? Well, no, not really. So, okay, then why am I afraid? Have I done something wrong? Okay, now I'm less special because I've done something wrong. You're more special because you didn't do something wrong. Now there's a different dynamic that changes everything. Sometimes that's just how you have to look at it. It is really hard to break things down and try to... No, not try to see how you're portraying yourself at other people, but stop and see how you're portraying yourself. Self-responsibility, I guess, almost would be a way to put that. Just take a self-accountability test that's really quick and easy to decide when you interact with somebody what dynamic you're presenting. And if you feel like you're better than that person, then you're the problem in that dynamic. If you feel like if the other person feels like they're better than you, then they're the problem. It's all about how you're reading the situation that you're in. And I don't think I've really heard it put in that way before, but that's kind of how I try to test the situation is, do I know more or less than someone else about this subject? Well, if I know less, then they're in a better position than I am. I need to listen a little bit in order to understand, well, what do I know that equals with what they know so that we can balance? And I do constantly try to find that part that equalizes the playing field between me and the person I'm trying to discuss something with. Let me move up the chat. Hands numb his notepad. I love my notepad. I got a notepad. I'm going to have to add that to fun things to talk about. That is the issue right there. More or less important is self-irrelevant. Worth is key. That is the internal, not external. Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that it's about trying to figure out how you're portraying yourself on someone else. It's realize that they're not better than you and you're not better than them. You start on that grounding, and no one person has an advantage or a privilege over another other than maybe something benign that maybe doesn't mean anything because somewhere else you have a privilege over them. And it equals out not necessarily to where people will see it as equal, but to where your individuality equals out the playing field by the diversity of the diversity of the way you lived, to be pretty simple. And again, I have a hard time explaining the thing in the way that I'm trying to see it. It's very hard to see yourself in another's eyes because people don't see reality. Nope, don't see yourself in another eye. See yourself in your own eye. Realize where you are in that situation and play that situation accordingly. If you know you're doing something wrong, understand you're doing something wrong. If you know somebody else is doing something wrong and you're in the right, you have to understand that. But you have to understand not the other person. Don't understand the other person. Understand yourself. Realize where you are coming from in this before you start the conversation. Because if you think you're coming into the conversation with an idea that's better than somebody else's idea, you are putting yourself on a higher ground, and that causes a problem. I don't believe my ideas are better. I believe my ideas are equal and maybe less valid than some other ideas until I've heard them. And that allows me to hear other ideas, even if I don't agree with them, and pick parts out of those ideas I don't agree with to realize why it might be okay to agree with that idea, or what is easy to identify with out of that idea that people would follow. There still should be just as means the perspective of the self, not the definition of it. It's very hard. I read that. Diversity of thoughts. Yes! Everybody's going to be different. Realize they're different. Look for the similarities. Look for where you fit in. Nah, I'm better than others. Thanks. I'm glad you're here then, because I could learn from that. Your ideas can be inspiring to others. Hey, thanks. I don't know if I'd classify it as my ideas or trying to explain the way I try to come about situations. And again, this isn't how I did it 20 years ago, 10 years ago. This isn't how I did it before I landed myself in prison. I've learned a lot. And every different thing I've learned has caused me to take different viewpoints on things. And I've tried to set back and allow the world to happen and see how I relate to the world. And then move forward by changing the way I relate to the world to make the way the world relates to me more positive. And it does not always work. It does not always work. It's really hard sometimes. Getting towards the bottom of these categories. Hate. Oh, this is a great one. Hate. So under hate, I have 1, crime, and 2, speech. And it's an interesting view that I try to relate to this, that I don't have a problem with somebody hating me. I don't have a problem with hating somebody. When I hate somebody, I don't interact with them. At the point where I hate you, I'm done with you. We're not talking. We're not associating. We're not interacting. If I hate you so much where I kill you, tell me why killing you because I hate you is worse than killing you because you were standing in front of me? I'm confused. If you commit a crime against somebody, there has to be a motive. You hated them. That's the motive. How does hate then become an element of a crime that causes the crime to be worse than it is? I'm flabbergasted sometimes at the ability to misconstrue a word. We live in a free society, and this is going to kind of go all over the place, guys. I got a lot to sort of talk about here, but it will hopefully make sense. I'm free to hate who I want to hate. If I take my hate out on somebody, I'm committing a crime. There's no reason for there to be an additional crime by calling it a hate crime, because hate was the reason behind the crime. If you don't have a reason to commit a crime, I'm bored. I'm going to see if I can get away with stealing a Slim Jim. I'm hungry. I'm going to see if I can get away with stealing a loaf of bread. It's all about not over-assigning drama to the situation. You're already being tried for the crime. Let's focus on the crime you're being tried for and add attributes to that crime that, say, if you had long-term malintent, that can show a history of you hating that person for their race, then it was a crime based on race. It was a prejudice crime, which means we have to hold that in higher regard than an inadvertent or accidental crime, which we sort of already do. There's no reason to add a hate layer. And with hate speech, damn, I hate it when people do shit. I hate it when people drive over the white line. I hate it when they won't do 4 miles over the speed limit because I'm in a hurry. I hate those old people that don't know where their gas pedal is. I hate the ones that are slow in line. Damn those. I hate those government employees that I think make so much an hour while I have to stand in line for an hour and lose an hour's pay. I hate that. When does that get misconstrued to that's bad? And I'm sorry. People who can take this how they want. I don't. But let's say I hate Asians. I absolutely hate Asians. I don't think they should be around. I don't think they should be in my country. I don't think they should be allowed in my colleges. They're taking up too much space. They're in the way. Hey, Chan, how you doing? Bye. I don't have anything to say to you. But I hate those Chinese. I'll take an order of wontons, and I would like a shrimp egg roll, please. I hate those Chinese. It's not always necessary. You could hate a person. You could hate a group of people. You could hate them for things that they do or you see them do or that you don't like or that you can't associate yourself with. You are free to hate. Hate anything and everything you want. Anywhere and everywhere around the world, you are free to hate it. Don't act upon the hate. Fucking moron. It's that simple. You can hate, you can disregard, you can you can ignore people you hate. There is nothing wrong with that. It's easy. Oh, I hate that guy. He's at the concert. I just won't go. It's that easy. You can hate all you want. Calling for an abolition to hate crime by calling people out there and causing assault just causes more hate and more violence. You can hate all you want. Don't act on it. You can want to rape somebody all you want. Don't act on it. You can want to do something all you want. Don't act on it. It's that simple. And I don't know. maybe that doesn't make sense to everybody. And yeah, even I have a hard time with, okay, I want to quit smoking cigarettes. Quit smoking cigarettes. 2 days later, I fucking need a cigarette. I got a headache. I'm stressed out. I'm bouncing off the walls. I need a cigarette. And I have a hard time with it. So I can understand, relate the desire to want to complete something or to do something that I'm accustomed to and to proceed with the hate I have. Can I relate these things? Yeah, I can. I can understand how hate can get out of control. If you can't control it, you commit a crime. Congratulations. There's already a crime. It doesn't matter if you did it out of hate. Hate anything the fuck you want, guys. And I don't understand. You can hate anything you want. It's just as equal as loving it, just the opposite direction. So, hate speech and hate crime, I have a problem with because I hate things. I don't want to go to jail because I hate things. I don't know what my point was, but I wrote sexism, phobia, hardships, and poverty with a question mark next to that. I think maybe something along the terms of don't hate for these things. I don't remember. Let me read my next statement though. We'll get there. Oh no, let me read the chat. But I wants them. Okay, I'm assuming that's the Chinese. Yes, that's the Chinese. Get your own, and you have rice. I like rice. It's fried rice, you plick. NumbedSkull is better to explain to your kid what they heard out of your mouth. Oh, I guarantee you, with how loud I am. Hold on. Shh, let me be quiet. They can hear me, because I can hear them. And I'm getting kind of loud. Where was I? Okay. Opposing groups with different ideas and ideals can be both correct or both incorrect depending on the view. Alright, that's the end of 2 pages worth of notes. So, this is where a MGTOW and an incel might have different points of view. And they could both be correct about the way they see a situation, and yet both incorrect about the way others may see the situation. It's not necessarily a clear line, and there are so many. Now I remember, there are so many different groups. There are people against sexism on both sides. There are people who have legitimate phobias and who assign phobias of what's wrong and what they do and don't want to be around. There are various hardships that cause people to not want to or to want to deal with certain types of people over another. And then in poverty, people often stick with those who have the most similarities to themselves. And when you take that and add that to the opposing groups, you get all of these dynamics where, again, different people see the situation in such a different way that they're finding it hard to find a point to relate in the conversation, to allow the conversation to continue progressively. And sometimes it really just takes finding that common ground by finding similarities between someone rather than acknowledging more differences between them. And again, this is just, for me, it's hard to get out the way I look at and try to contemplate how I see things. And my channel is about trying to express some of how I see things and trying to see how others see things so that I can help relate to that and understand what's going on a little better. So now let's focus on the chat for a minute. NumbedSkull, you better explain to your... Oh, I read that one. I hate haters. I don't hate haters. You can hate people all you want. Do whatever you like. Hey, Dark Suzuki, how you doing? Welcome. You're close to the end, but glad you came. I haven't seen you for a while. It's nice to know you're doing good. I hope the job's good, and I hope you're getting paychecks, at least. Same old. Oh, that's Suzuki. Oh my God, you missed you, Dark Suzuki. See, Even the bot has something for you. Somebody say hello, Sasuke, and the bot should respond even. Let's see. For many reasons, bad bringing up, etc. Hit you so I can join Discord. I know. Omega 2 sounds oriental. Omega 2. Omega Tau. TA. Steakhouse. Gay bar. LOL. Sasuke. What happened to Death Hadouken? I miss saying his name. He's fun. Alright, guys. So, again, I'm pushing even harder to fill out job applications because part-time jobs are hard to come by. And I'm trying to work around everything else. So, I don't want to sit here and ask people to drop money into my cup in the center of the screen. I'm going to move that aside. I'm going to work on some new stuff. I've worked on some of it today after I filled out 5 applications online. And I'm going to work on more tomorrow, assuming I can push myself to take the time to do these, which I'm going to try. I have released a website, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. No, I didn't release a website. I signed up for something that's available on the sites that I already use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign in and get you guys a link. Because hopefully, if one person a day buys one item, I might earn a few bucks. It's not that I enjoy this, but I wanted to make something. I didn't want to just be like, give me money, I need money. Because I do, and I'm not going to go into it, but I do need to push to make something of something. But in that effort to push, I decided that the best way for me to feel about this, how do I copy there? The best way for me to feel about this would be to offer you guys the option of getting something. And I haven't gone shopping around for the best place to do this. So I'm using what I already have available. It's kind of expensive. There's 3 items up so far. I'm playing with it. If you don't like anything, don't buy anything. Nobody's obligated. I made a coffee mug, which is just a coffee mug with my skull turned sideways across the end. It's a 15 ounce because they gave me the option to make the bigger cup, and I made the cup bigger because I thought that'd be cool. I made a wife beater. It's black. The cup is white. The black wife beater just has the forward-facing skull on it. And that's all I did. But then, because I did those first and I was just toying with it, I made a pillow. And the pillow, well, the pillow's $30 fucking dollars. I'm not buying a $30 pillow. So if nobody buys anything, I'll completely understand, and I will be shopping for sites even quicker. I'm just going to leave it for a week and see how it does. But the pillow, I used to try and push this catchphrase that was one bone. W-A-N apostrophe bone. So what I did was I put the forward-facing skull in the middle of the pillow, and I added a one at the top and a bone at the bottom in the corners. So on one side it's NumbedSkull's head with one bone, and on the other side it's a smaller head with NumbedSkull, I think. You'll have to look at it in the store to make sure I'm not lying to you. If I am, I'm sorry. I'll go back and make another pillow. But there's a couple of things. So, ideas if you want something, or if you know a place where I can make more affordable products for you guys, because $30 for a pillow seems pricey. It was, what is this? $25 for a wife beater t-shirt. That's stupid. $18 for a mug seems, for a 15-ounce mug seems just over reasonable, but I guess that's okay. So you guys let me know, and I'll look around. A Weibo NumbedSkull body pillow. Huh. I don't have a whole body yet. I'm still working on that. Skeletal structure is very hard to design in 3D from pictures. With that being said, I've barely gotten through the chest. You want a magnetic fridge dildo? It will have big rounded bald ends on the bone. I don't know how much you'll enjoy that. You never know. Maybe it'll curve and hit you in the G spot. So that's there. I said that live on air. I hope you all enjoyed that. Yep, G spot. I'll work on it. Maybe I'll get a molding machine and make them myself. Don't call it a pillow. Call it a scream muffler. Okay. What to look forward to? I don't know if Nike Air is still here, but I was serious. If he watches back or wants to look, I'm all for doing a comic conversation tomorrow. Why not? I like comics. I just haven't been exposed to a lot of them. It could probably go well. And then on Saturday, Dada and I have a very long conversation to have about sovereign citizens. Yep. I know too much. I know more than I learned in history class, which is fucked up when I think back at it. It's amazing that creating the desire for me to learn, an interest, the thought, the processes. I went and looked and learned and discovered and read and kept reading and have gone through so much information that I've actually learned things about history that I never learned in school that actually make sense, that were alluded to in some of the history that we were taught but never completely gone over, with like the Louisiana Purchase and the 33rd degree 36-minute latitude American parallel, laws concerning slavery and when and where and how it was started and why the war was begun and the arguments in Congress for it. So yep, no limit rambling. There's a lot to talk about. How much time is left? Less than 4 minutes, I think. Probably, I don't even know. I'm not looking. Less time than I think, because I need to get up and get a drink. I'm getting a headache from talking too much. Yeah. Everybody, I want to thank you so much for joining me. I hope some, if not most, of my conversation was intelligible and maybe entertaining? I don't know. I basically just wanted to spiel for a while, because one of the things I see is it's so many arguments and conversations are being had about the topics. I want to get off the topics and find out why we're talking about these topics. And that's what my position is. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of your support. Please make sure that on your way out, flick and rub and spank and slap and tie and pinch and poke whatever buttons you want to do, whatever you want to do with. And I will hopefully see you all here for my next one, which should be tomorrow night at 7. Thank you all so much and have a good night.